Hi, everybody. Erica here, and I have gotten a question that I'd like to share some ideas on. I've gotten this question several times over the times I've been teaching, and so maybe this has happened to you as well, because it's certainly happened to me. The question is, what do I do, or why do I get dizzy during yoga practice? And so a few things to think about before, during, and after class or a practice on your own. So, of course, we want to first consider if we have a medical condition or an injury or another issue that might cause dizziness or have a side effect or a symptom of dizziness. And so we want to make sure to get that out of the way. If we have some sort of condition with vertigo, if we're on medications, or if we have a health condition that might cause dizziness, we do want to make sure that we're aware of that before we practice and that we modify our practice accordingly and or speak with our teacher and get some ideas about how to modify that practice accordingly so that we avoid that dizziness. There are certainly contraindications for those that experience vertigo or experience dizziness, that things that we want to avoid, which I can get into in just a moment. But first of all, we want to make sure that we're aware of any medical condition and any side effects of medications, and then act accordingly. Also, before practice, we do want to make sure that we have hydrated well and or maybe eaten something. Again, if we're prone to low blood sugar or something else that might cause us to feel some lightheadedness. I know for me, I need to eat a little bit of something about 30 minutes to an hour before practice, just so that I feel fueled, my body feels like it's taken care of before I get into a physical practice. And so think about hydration, not only water, but especially electrolytes. If you're finding that lightheadedness or dizziness is a common issue for you. And then maybe it doesn't have to be a big meal. In fact, it's contraindicated to eat a big meal before a yoga practice, but something small that is nutritious and nourishing to you, that can give your body the fuel that it needs before you practice. Again, 30 minutes to an hour before, depending on what works for you. So you might need to experiment with that. So making sure that you're preparing ahead of time, kind of knowing your body, knowing what you need before you get into a practice. And then also choosing the type of yoga, the style of yoga that would be best for you at this time. If we're beginning students, it's not unusual to experience again, a bit of lightheadedness with the up and the down, the forward folding and the moving in all directions if we're not used to that. And so we may want to definitely consider a beginner class or a more gentle class. Some of the more vigorous practices we want to be cautious about if we don't have experience with the yoga practice, the physical postures, and especially with the breathing. There is an efficient and effective way to breathe, and it is surprising how many of us have kind of forgotten how to get that full inhale and full exhale in an effortless manner when we're physically exerting ourselves. All right, so be aware of your medical condition and or medication side effects. Make sure that you're fueling and hydrating beforehand as needed. And then also make sure you choose the style of yoga that would be appropriate for your physical ability and your level of experience with yoga. Okay. And then during practice, always great to have a good warm up. We don't want to jump right into a physically vigorous practice without a good warm up to kind of get ourselves, again, breathing properly, moving effectively, listening to our body. So taking your time with that warm up phase, really leaning into that, especially if you're doing a longer practice, and taking that time to get the breath and the body kind of in sync there. And if you do feel a sense of dizziness or a lightheadedness during the practice, Definitely a good idea to pause, to stop, maybe take child's pose or to lay down or sit, and just take a moment to find your breath again and find yourself before continuing or choosing not to continue with the practice at that time. And then speaking to your teacher after practice to kind of discuss that issue. Things that might cause dizziness during the practice, forward bending, of course, and then coming back up again too quickly, not warming up effectively, holding the breath in any way, either out or in, not letting the breath flow, getting into postures that are not allowing us to breathe effectively and efficiently. So being aware during practice, that's what yoga is about, awareness of the body, of the breath, and of the mind. So, but again, those forward folds, the more vigorous practices, and then forgetting to breathe really smoothly and effectively and efficiently. So being aware of that, taking your time. Any teacher will make sure to let you know that do what's right for you and let go of what's not right for you. All right. You should not feel compelled to do anything in your practice that is uncomfortable or causes discomfort or dis-ease. That is very antithetical to the yoga practice. So some things during practice to consider, postures to be aware of that might cause some lightheadedness, as well as some ways to manage that. Stopping the practice, taking your time to resettle, reset. If you need to step out or take a break, then please do so. And then after practice, making sure that you hydrate, again, making sure you're drinking water and or some kind of low sugar electrolyte beverage if you're prone to dizziness or lightheadedness. And taking time to rest and recover after that practice, being aware after the practice how you feel during the rest of the day into your evening, how you're sleeping that evening, etc., so that you know, okay, this is the level of practice or the style of practice that's for me, or this is just not really working for me. Either it's above my skill level at this time or not challenging enough maybe, but really that reflection on your practice afterwards and taking good care of the body after a practice, very important. Okay, so to wrap up, this feeling of lightheadedness or dizziness, it's not unusual if we're just beginning our practice and we're really not aware of the limitations of the body and at this time, or the newness of the practice and the breathing, etc. So making sure that you're revisiting kind of that preparation before class, doing your research on yourself and on the class, the style, etc. During class, being aware of what's happening in the breath and in the body, taking cues from your body. And then after practice, making sure to do some reflection. Okay, so hopefully that offers some great tips for you on this question. And if you have any feedback or tips or comments, please make sure to put those below. I would love to hear what your experience has been or what works for you as far as mitigating that lightheaded feeling or that dizziness during practice. All right, take good care. Happy practicing. Bye-bye.